Hey everybody, this is Ori from OneScales. In today's video, I'm going to showcase the research that I just completed, which looked at the largest websites online, looked at their robots.txt, and saw which bots they're blocking completely. And from that, I wanted to, share it with you guys, the raw data and all the websites that I looked at. And the second one is try to have some insights for what to block, why to block, which ones should you consider blocking, and things like that. So let's jump into it. I'm going to show you a little bit more information in the article and more detail that's not mentioned in the article. Okay, so let's go down. Let's kind of start reviewing. So first of all, I went to SimilarWeb. I got a list of all the popular websites, and I selected out of that about 250 of them. And through that, I kind of filtered a few that are more relevant and are more popular, and I tried to add different websites from different categories. For example, maybe news sites and travel sites and software sites and things like that. So I try to give you a kind of a different mix of different sites so we can have more conclusions based on different types of industries. Okay, so what did we find? First of all, out of the 250 that I took, 40% of them, 40.8% of them, 102 out of 250 actually blocked at least one or more bots completely. Okay, so that's the first simple thing. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump back and forth on this article, but in the bottom of the article, I actually posted a link right here. If you can see here, the full website research data, there's a link right here which opens this Google Sheet, and you have all my raw data right here. You can see all the websites I did, for example, Bank Financial, American Express, Bank of America, etc. And I have commerce, Amazon, etc., and government and informational sites and news sites, etc. So you have all the data here, and we'll get back to that as well so you can see all the data that I have. Okay, so let's go to the top right here. So 40.8% of them are actually blocking one or more completely. So let me show you an example of what that means in robots.txt. So for example, Bank of America, if I go to their robots.txt file or page, let's look at it right now for a second. Okay, so what you can see is, let's go right here. So you can see, for example, that the user agent Omni Explorer, they blocked it completely. That means all pages on the website of bankofamerica.com, they do not want the Omni Explorer to come visit any of these pages. Okay, there are some partial blocks, for example, but I'm talking in this article about full blocks and try to come up with the conclusions for this or the insights from them. Okay, so let's look at it right here. Okay, so 40.8% of them are blocking one or more completely. Okay, so what are we trying to do? We're trying to give you guys the awareness of bots, robots.txt, and the insight of what large websites do, and maybe that'll be helpful for you guys. And it seems to me that you should get some insights from this article. Okay, so very simply, what are bots? Bots are just some software that they're doing some kind of role. They're scanning your website or your page or your pages, and they're actually gonna either read or take some information and then use it in some way in future. So what you can do if they are good bots, which means they're bots that obey your guidelines, and a robots.txt page is basically your guidelines to tell bots what they can visit and what they can't visit, very simply. So if you have good bots that actually listen to your guidelines, not malicious things or malicious bots or malicious software, they will go and actually either visit your pages or not, depending on what your guidelines are. Okay, so what types of bots are there? So there's really two main kind of categories. One are auto bots that just crawl around the internet. They go page by page, website by website. They read the information and they take information for them. For example, a search engine is a type of bot that crawls around and takes information and then ranks you. For example, Google is a search engine. They have to visit every site, read every page on your website, and then they can rank you. Okay. Manual bots are bots typically that a specific developer or software is written to do a specific task. For example, you ask your developer, hey, I want you to scan my website to check the health of it. I want you to manually scan these pages. It's some kind of software. And as we mentioned before, good bots are bots that are legit businesses that are scanning your website for good things. For example, search engines or maybe tools or SEO tools or things like that. And they generally obey what you write in your robots.txt. So if in the robots.txt you say, I want you to visit this, but not this, or I don't want you to visit it all, they'll follow it. They'll read the robots.txt before they visit your website pages. They'll check the guidelines. If they're allowed, they'll go and visit. Bad bots are typically ones that are trying to harm you, right? They're hackers. There are people that are trying to steal your information, and they will not obey. They will not follow your guidelines. If you say don't visit and they're not listening, they will actually go and do whatever they want. Okay, so this video is talking about robots.txt, talking about the good bots. And anything that's bad bots, it's a different topic completely. You'd have to have firewalls and other code and other things you need to do. But this is really for the good bots and what are the largest websites online doing in their robots.txt to block them. Okay, so what kind of categories, what kind of types of bot categories are there? So I try to categorize them as these 5 things. So search engine bots like Google and Yahoo, for example, they're good bots, right? They go scan your site and they try to rank you, try to give you benefit, right? Other people can find you on Google and Yahoo, etc. They have website tools, SEO tools. These are typically bots that scan your site and try to check and give you some reports on it. Web scrapers are typically bots that come, read your information, they grab your information, and they use it in some other way, maybe in a good way or a bad way, depending on what kind of the bots. Manual crawls and scrapers, they're basically developer code, just like we mentioned before, of bots that come and have a very specific goal to do. For example, you ask your developer to scan a specific page, for example. And the last one are malicious bots, which we don't talk too much about it, which is they're ones that are bad. They don't obey your robots.txt, and they come to do something that's not good for you, right? They come to do either something to monetize or take your information or something like that, or hack you or things like that. Okay, so why would you want to block a bot, a good bot in general? What's the purpose of blocking a bot? So first of all, you need to know that there's different types of bots. In general, these are the 5 different reasons of why you would want to block a bot. Number 1 is they just take your information without permission. So for example, you might have an article or a video or something, and you paid money for it. It's the intellectual property of your business, and you don't want others to use it without your permission or without your agreement. And so that's number 1. You just don't want them to take your information, and make sense, right? Number 2 is bots crawl around your website and they use your server resources, right? They go to your pages, they ask for pages for information, and that costs money for your servers or your hosting provider. So you don't want to pay extra money for more server power. The third thing is very similar, which is they actually slow down your website. They go visit all your pages. Maybe you have a big website, and that takes server power, and then your actual visitors are getting a slower website because there's too much load. Okay, number 4 is sometimes they actually take your information and they duplicate your information. They actually pretend to be you, or they just take your content and then they try to outrank you on SEO in the search engines or something like that, right? They're just taking your information, trying to make money from it and try to compete with you. And the last one is they're actually trying to harm you, right? They're trying to hack your website, find vulnerabilities, do something wrong with your website, try to create 1 million accounts or stuff like that. Okay. So when we looked at these 250 websites right here, we actually looked at we actually counted what are the most popular ones that are being blocked, and we wrote all the most popular ones, the top 20 ones, we put them here, and we try to define what are these bots, what do they do, and then links to the URL. So let's look at the most popular bots first of all. The first one, as you may or may not be surprised, is the GPTBot, which is OpenAI's ChatGPTBot. What it does is actually scans the internet, and it learns from all of your content, all of your information, and it makes its beautiful machine learning AI knowledgeable and helps you do cool things with ChatGPT. Now, what we've noticed, it is the #1 most fully blocked bot, and what we've done is basically we include a URL to ChatGPT, a URL to their guidelines document, which says how to block them on robots.txt. So this is an official document, how to block them, and our recommendations in the notes. So for example, we personally like to allow ChatGPT to read our information, but we've noticed that some news sites and some content creator sites decided to block them completely, and everything's written here. For example, you can see here, right here. So you can see, for example, Amazon blocked completely ChatGPT, just for example. And if you scroll down, there's 24 other sites that actually block them completely, and you can see that. For example, you can see also IKEA blocked them as well. And you can notice that certain large companies are actually blocking ChatGPT. Okay, so what we try to do again is for each one of these, we actually try to say, explain what they do so you can understand what the business is and if you want to block them or not, a link to their website, a link to their robots.txt site, and then our personal recommendation. But again, our recommendation is just based on our criteria. Please do your own research. Please make sure you always consider your own requirements, business requirements, website requirements, marketing requirements, etc., etc. And also do your research and be careful, because if you block something incorrectly, you're going to lose that full functionality. For example, in the article we say, if you block GoogleBot, for example, no one will be able to find you in Google search, which is most likely a really bad thing to do. So be very careful before you block anything. Be very, very careful. Make sure you're 100% certain about this. Okay? And fit it to your business and website requirements. The next one is SemrushBot, which is basically an semrush.com is an SEO tool that gives you some information about your SEO health, health of your website, links, things like that. Okay. Baiduspider is just like Google. It's a search engine in Chinese, a very popular one. You most likely do not want to remove it. Next one, Teleport. I have not been able to find anything interesting or anything positive about it, so I could not link the URL to their official site or any information about how to remove them through the robots.txt. I would be very, very careful, and I would highly recommend to consider blocking it. Okay, Wget is basically software that lets any programmer develop some kind of code to scan websites and pages and stuff like that. And in general, it's not a good or bad. It depends on how the developer used it. So you should consider what to do. In general, you can look at your server logs and decide if you want to remove it. Dotbot is a SEO, is a Moz tool, an SEO tool. It's a very known tool. Here you have the links and how to remove it. If you're not using it, you can consider removing it. If it's fine, you can just keep it. IA Archiver is basically the Internet Archive. It's a big, big site. I believe it's a nonprofit, if I'm not mistaken. They basically archive the entire internet. They scan all the sites and they keep a copy over time. So for example, you can see how your website was looking a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and different pages how they look. It's a really cool project, and you can decide to remove it or not. They obviously a reputable company, and they have links how to remove it. It's great. NPBot also, I've not been able to see anything positive about it, any official information. I'm not exactly sure about it. I would be very consider to remove it. I don't see anything good online. Sogou, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, also a Chinese search engine. Probably you want to keep it. 008 is also something I have no idea. I found a lot of not positive things online. I haven't found anything positive. Haven't found any official links or anything about their company or their scanner. So I would highly recommend to probably remove it. Do your own research, of course. MJ12 Majestic Bot is also an SEO tool for links. Same thing as all the other SEO tools. You can either remove it or just monitor and remove it later, or just block it, and if you need it, unblock it. WebZIP, same thing. No good information online. I would be very worried about it or considering to remove it. Xenu is another SEO tool. It's actually a link. It's used by SEOs, but it actually checks broken links. It just scans your pages, clicks on every single link, visits every single page, and finds if there's an error, maybe a page that doesn't exist. It's a pretty good tool. If you don't use it, you can consider blocking. You use it, just unblock, block. Same thing as the other ones. CCBot, this also, I believe I found the correct URL, but not sure if this is good or not. The website looks legit. It looks like they share information with researchers, but I haven't had too much good information online. I would also be very careful with this one to consider removing, but that's up to you. Please do your own research. Okay. Same thing. CherryPicker also. I don't see any good information, no official anything. I would consider removing it. Grub is just a developer tool for crawling. It's by a reputable company. But if you're not using it, definitely consider removing it. And depends as always, how people use it. You can use things for good or for bad, so it really depends on it. Same thing with libwww, same as grub and libwww. These are developer tools. Depends how people use it. You should consider to just monitor, either remove it or otherwise. Microsoft URL control, I haven't found anything good about it. My guess, and this is just a guess, is it's probably not by Microsoft. It's probably some bot that is not good, that is using that name or just pretending to be Microsoft URL control. It might be a URL control, but I have not found any information that seems legit that I can trust. I'll be very careful and consider removing it. And obviously all of these ones that have been removed by some large company, so that's obviously an insight by itself. Same thing with the Zeus, no good information about it I would consider removing. And then AhrefsBot is SEO tool, very reputable site, a company/site. You have their information. Again, if you don't use it, you can consider blocking or otherwise. These are the top 20 in the list. If you're looking for more, just go here, get a list of either from here of all the bots, or go here and you can actually find more that and search them in Google and find out those. But I would consider for you guys starting with the top 20 because they're the most blocked ones, and then you can move on. Okay, so next one is we're going to go to what else we found. What else did we find that is really, really important? Okay, so content creator block. So as we mentioned before, ChatGPT, for example, is blocked by 24 different large websites. And it seems to us, we believe that most likely these large websites have their own content, their own information. They don't want AI to actually, you know, quote unquote, steal or use their information without permission. And that's what we believe is happening here. Okay. Other things, other insights that are important. We've noticed that in some of the robots.txt, some of these websites, they actually have some comments. They're actually writing, for example, let's see, just for example here. Right, let's go to Amazon, for example. Okay, not Amazon's not a good example. Let's go right here. Let's see if we can find. So some of them, for example, they write some comments right here, and they write all kinds of information about what they're doing, what they're thinking, etc. So we notice that a few of the websites actually say that even though there's guidelines for the robots, the specific bots, the bots are not obeying the robots.txt completely, so they actually decided either to completely block them or others. So the important note about this is even if you block it, you should check that they're actually obeying your information or their guidelines have not changed. So you should actually pay attention to the misbehaving bots. Third one is not only blocking is a good thing in robots.txt, also having a crawl delay, because if you remember, sometimes these bots use a lot of your server power, they slow down your website, cost you more money, but you can actually tell them if they're visiting your whole site, you can tell them, hey, I don't want you to read all the pages so quickly. I want you to have a delay between page by page. So for example, let's say I have a lot of pages, I can tell them, you know what? Only every minute I want you to come visit each page at a time. So don't load every second all of the pages, you know, don't load all the pages, read all the pages, don't use my server too crazy. Every 60 seconds, I want you to read another page, and then they can actually smooth out the server resources, etc. So I've noticed that a lot in the list itself. Okay, another thing is Shopify site blocks. So there are some platforms, for example, like Shopify, which already automatically, Shopify basically creates e-commerce sites for stores, for businesses. And they already have a robots.txt by default. And they already block, for example, the Nutch bot, which is listed above. And they also do some crawl delays on these tools. These are really Pinterest tools. This is a SEO tool and another SEO tool. Okay. Next one is SEO tools blocking. Okay. If you do not use some of these tools that are mentioned above, for example, you have the tool here, dotbot is an SEO tool, SEMrush is an SEO tool, there's a Majestic one, this one MJ12 is a Majestic one, also SEO tool. If you don't use these, you can just block it. If you're not sure, you can block it, and then if you use it, you can just unblock it. But this, again, this is up to your specific business. Okay. And another thing that's mentioned specifically is 8 of the websites, there have been a few websites that instead of just specifying which one they want to block in the robots.txt, you can say the opposite, which is I'm going to allow only these, for example, 10 bots and everything else I want to block. So that we've also seen 8 of those sites in our 250 list, which, excuse me, they actually block everything. They specify only these ones allowing and everything else blocking. Okay, so let's look at some of the common questions that have been asked us when we did the research. Okay, so number one, should I block ChatGPT? This is a huge question a lot of people ask, and the answer is really depends. And we've talked about this a little before, but really simply, if you want your information to spread, for example, OneScales right now allows ChatGPT to take the information because we want to spread good information. We want to share with you, our raw data. We want to share with other AI our information. So we want to spread the word. But if you notice, some large websites don't want to spread their information, or they don't want others to use their information, they block them. So it really depends on you, and I would love to hear from you guys if you've blocked ChatGPT or not. I would think that would be really good information. Next one, should I use crawl delay? I would say in many cases for sure yes. We notice a lot of sites in our list do that, but especially if your server can't handle large amounts of information, of traffic, and visits to your website, you should definitely consider it and look at, for example, what Shopify did to block some of these SEO tools, etc. Next one, how do I learn more about robots.txt? Right here. So there's going to be two things. So number one, I just recommend for you to go to the Google search robots.txt introduction. You can read it. And also, we're also working on an article, and hopefully soon we'll have an article introducing robots.txt, how to use it, how to test it, things like that. So we'll have one. In the meantime, Google resource is great, so please use that. Okay, next one. What is the downside of blocking a bot? We mentioned before. If you block incorrectly, you just did it, you weren't certain, and you blocked it, that bot will not visit your website. You will not gain that functionality. For example, we mentioned if you block Google, you specify Google bot disallow. That means you will not be found in Google search. That's a big problem for 99.999% of the sites. There's probably very little reasons not to show yourself in Google or other search engines. Okay, how do I find out if a bot is good or bad? I think this is a really good question, and it's kind of complicated. But number one is obviously reference our table right here. Okay, so you have all these bots right here. So number one, reference this. The second one, let's go back right here, is Google them. If you can find a official website that talks about how to remove them from the robots.txt, it's probably a good sign. If there's no website, if they're not showing how to do it, probably the bot is not a good bot, right? Google it, find out if other people are talking about it in a good way, in a bad way. Ask us in the comments. You can scroll down, you can write some comments. Right here, you can leave a comment. You can ask us on the contact form. You can ask on the YouTube channel. Just ask us more about it, and we're happy to try to help you guys find out the answer. And obviously, if you have some insights yourself, you've done some things, you've blocked, you've unblocked, share with us. We would love to know. We would love for everybody to know your insights as well. Okay, and the last one is something we're working on right now, and hopefully we'll have another article soon, which is how do I find new bots? So let's say I decided to block 5 or 6 bots. Over time, bots are still going to come to your website. There's going to be new bots, new software, all kinds of stuff. How do I find new ones? So the current best way is to ask your developer, your engineer, to go ahead and look at the access logs and look at what the specific user agents, what they're doing on your website, and then try to come up with a conclusion and do that. So that's kind of over time to do it. The next thing, what we're working on is we're working on a way for you not to have to ask your developer. We're working on a way that you can actually use Google Tag Manager or some other version that you can easily just get a list of all the user agents, all the bots that come to your website, and then you can decide over time what to do with them. Okay, so that's just a way for you to kind of see what bots are doing on your website. Very simply put, bots are crawling your website all day long, every day, every week, every month. There's a ton of bots that are coming from all kinds of different directions, all kinds of business requirements, needs, and they're always crawling around the web. It's huge. I mean, there's so many bots that you're not familiar that are crawling your website. It's good for you to be aware of it, keep track of it, and block as needed. Okay, so a few other notes that I think are very important that you guys should know about. So we talked about good versus bad bots that respect or don't respect your directives or your guidelines in your robots.txt. Okay. What else is very important? During the research itself, we looked at English sites. So most of the sites are actually in English, other than I believe it was 19 out of the 250 are not in English. We wanted to sample a few that are not in English, for example, Chinese search engines or an Indian bank or something like that. And but it was just easier for us to understand how to categorize, review, and understand them because English is obviously easier for us. Other than that, these are the number of categories. These are within the websites, we had different categories. So we had banks and commerce and government and informational sites and news, etc. So this is the number. So bank, we had 13 websites, commerce, products and services, 48, government, 8, informational media sites and forums, 92, news sites, 19, search engine, 7, social media, 18, software and SaaS, 35, and travel, 10. Okay. As we mentioned, always do your own research. Your business, your website is very, very different. Be very careful before blocking, because if you block something wrong, you're in big trouble. Okay. Other than that, the last thing is we have a link to the full data. So we looked at all these websites / robots.txt to get to it. And we mentioned if it's an English site right here, we mentioned the category. And if there's bots that they block, we basically put them one by one by one by one. For example, here we have all the bots that are fully blocked. You can see some of them have a lot more than one. Some of them have one, some of them have multiple. For example, they have 2 right here. Okay, that's pretty much it. So I would love your insight. I would love to see what you think about this research. It took a lot of time to work on it. I hope you guys can have insights. Definitely check out one by one the most popular bots right here. The table right here, GPTBot, SEMrush, Baidu Teleport, Wget, dotbot, IA Archiver, etc., etc. Please check that out for yourself. Let me know what you think about it. If we missed something, if there's something incorrect, if you have specific bots that you've had troubles with, or you're blocking, or you're considering blocking, please share that. Share with others everything you know about it, and we'll be making more and more cool content for you guys on OneScales, in OneScales. And as always, please say hi, subscribe, like, share, send to a friend if you really liked it, if it's helpful for you, your colleagues, your friends, anybody in the industry or other. Please let us know. Much appreciated you listen and read our content, and we'll be making more and more online. Much appreciated. Thank you guys.